Mary Kay Cabot just went off on live TV after the Browns traded Joe Flacco, and she couldn't stop smiling when the team made Shedeur Sanders QB2. You can literally hear her say, "It's about time Cleveland stopped living in the past." And trust me, the locker room reaction, absolutely electric.
Shedeur Sanders would be in the news as a third-string quarterback because he thinks, or he has said, that he's ready to the point where he's better than current starting quarterbacks in the NFL, talking things into existence and speaking his mind and showing off his confidence. And then, for whatever his reasoning, deciding to listen to Rex Ryan and respond to him through miming. And the Browns decide to now have a quarterback room with two rookie quarterbacks and no veteran presence that's currently active on their roster as we are speaking into a microphone right now. If you had told us all of this prior to the season in Week 5, you'd be like, this is crazy, but it's the NFL.
The Cleveland Browns just made a move that has the entire NFL world scratching their heads. Joe Flacco, the same guy they benched and gave up on, just got traded to their division rival, the Bengals. And in the same breath, whispers are getting louder that Shedeur Sanders might actually see the field as QB2 in Cleveland. Yeah, you heard that right. While everyone's been clowning Shedeur for saying he's better than NFL starters, the Browns just cleared the room, shipped out their veteran, and now it's Dillon Gabriel, Bailey Zapp, and potentially Shedeur Sanders holding down the quarterback room. No safety net, no backup plan, just chaos. And honestly, it might be the most fascinating QB situation in football right now.
Future, what do you have over there?
So according to the information man, Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, Adam Schefter, the Browns are trading Joe Flacco and a 6th-round pick to the Bengals for a 5th-rounder. Joe Flacco in division. Now Cincinnati's QB1.
Okay, so let's lay all this out in terms of you can't make this up. So if you had told us collectively, not the Royal, us collectively, 5 weeks ago, that Dillon Gabriel would be the Week 5 starter for the Cleveland Browns, we'd have been like, okay, we see that. Could have gone a little higher. Okay, we see that.
That's possible.
Okay.
5 weeks ago, if someone told you that Dillon Gabriel, the rookie, would be starting for the Cleveland Browns while Joe Flacco gets shipped to the Cincinnati Bengals in the middle of the season, you'd probably laugh them out of the room. But here we are, and it gets crazier.
Their practice squad is a guy that the NFL can't quit. It's Bailey Zappi.
Zappy!
It's Zappy time.
We just talked about him yesterday.
Come on and get Zappy.
Come on
down.
Next quarterback.
Shiny Zappy people. In Cleveland. Live.
Because I'm Zappy.
Sunday, Monday, Zappy days.
Wow.
Clap along.
Okay, get zapped. All right, wait, let's stop.
I'm Zappy.
What
Crazy things have happened. We all know. We've seen Bailey Zappi can perform in this league. And
Brockman's favorite.
And so, is it possible? There's another microphone that's going to be put in front of Shedeur Sanders to talk about your still third string.
Joe Burrow is hurt. Not just banged up, but out for a significant chunk of the season. The Bengals, who were supposed to be AFC contenders, are now scrambling. And Jake Browning, the guy who stepped in for Burrow 2 years ago and actually looked competent. Remember he won 4 out of 7 starts? Well, he's fallen off a cliff this season. Like, completely imploded. To the point where Cincinnati looked at their options and said, you know what? Let's call Cleveland and get Joe Flacco.
And probably some crumpets at some point soon.
Love it.
All right, and when you go to practice, are you going to shove a microphone or a camera in Shedeur Sanders' face? Mary Kay, I'm watching ESPN we had on in studio. We peruse all the different networks and the local affiliates in the morning, and they had a 10-minute segment on Shedeur Sanders and what he was doing yesterday in the locker room. It was on Scott Van Pelt last night. I've seen it everywhere, Mary Kay. Is this gone too far officially?
You know what? I think that I really actually think that Shedeur, in his own way, was trying not.
The same Joe Flacco who got benched in Cleveland. The same Joe Flacco who's 40 years old and has been through more playbooks than most people have had hot meals. The same Joe Flacco who, let's be honest, hasn't exactly looked elite this season either. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Browns aren't just trading Flacco to any team. They're trading him to a division rival, the Bengals, in the AFC North. You know, the same division where every game matters. Every matchup is a potential playoff decider. And now Cleveland just handed Cincinnati a veteran quarterback who knows their system, their coaches, and their playbook. You can't make this stuff up. Now, let's talk about what this means for Cleveland. Because this is where things get absolutely bonkers. The Browns are rolling into their Week 5 matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers with Dillon Gabriel as their starter, a rookie. Against a Steelers defense that's coming off a bye week, fresh, rested, and hungry. T.J. Watt is licking his chops. Cam Hayward is ready to eat. Mike Tomlin is 14-4 coming off bye weeks. This is not the defense you want to throw a rookie into. But Cleveland's like, yeah, we're good with that. Okay, so Dillon Gabriel is starting. Cool. But who's backing him up? Because this is where the story takes another turn. The Browns have 2 rookie quarterbacks on their roster right now. 2. No veteran presence. No safety net. Just Dillon Gabriel and another rookie, and sitting on their practice squad is Bailey Zappi. Yes, that Bailey Zappi. The same Bailey Zappi who had his moment with the Patriots, showed he could perform in this league, and then kind of faded into obscurity. But now he's in Cleveland, and suddenly people are wondering, could this be Zappi time 2.0? Could Cleveland elevate him from the practice squad to be the backup? Because right now, their quarterback room looks like a college spring game. And then there's Shedeur Sanders. Oh boy, here we go. Shedeur has been making headlines for weeks now. Not because of what he's doing on the field in Cleveland, because, let's be real, he hasn't touched the field yet. But because of what he's been saying off it. He's been vocal, confident, borderline cocky, depending on who you ask. He said he thinks he's better than current NFL starters. He's been talking things into existence, showing off that primetime DNA, that Deion Sanders swagger, and you know what? People have been killing him for it. Rex Ryan went on a rant about him. Analysts have called him arrogant. Fans have clowned him on social media. The narrative has been, sit down, kid. You're third string. You haven't earned the right to talk like that. But now things are different. Because Cleveland just traded away their veteran quarterback. They're rolling with 2 rookies. And Shedeur Sanders is listed as the third string QB on the depth chart. But here's the thing. Third string doesn't seem so far away anymore, does it? Dillon Gabriel is about to get baptized by fire against the Steelers. If he struggles, if he gets hurt, if things go south, who's next? Bailey Zappi? Maybe. But the Browns wouldn't have drafted Shedeur if they didn't see something in him. And now, with Flacco gone, with the veteran presence completely stripped from the roster, the door is cracked open. Not wide open, but cracked. And for a guy like Shedeur, who's been waiting for his moment, who's been confident enough to say he's ready, that crack might be all he needs. Let's talk about the Bengals for a second, because their side of this story is just as wild. Cincinnati is in panic mode. Joe Burrow is their franchise. Their offense runs through him. When he's healthy, they're Super Bowl contenders. When he's not, well, we're seeing what they are. Jake Browning was supposed to be the safety net. He proved 2 years ago that he could step in and keep the ship afloat. But this year, completely different story. Browning has been so bad that the Bengals looked at their options and decided Joe Flacco was the answer. Think about that for a second. They're so desperate that a 40-year-old journeyman who just got benched in Cleveland is their saving grace. Now, to be fair, the Bengals weren't going to go out and sign Kirk Cousins or trade for a big-name QB. Burrow's injury isn't season-ending. He could come back later this year, so they needed a stopgap. Someone cheap, someone who could come in, manage the offense, and not completely tank their playoff hopes. Enter Joe Flacco. The trade itself is pretty straightforward. Flacco and a sixth-round pick to Cincinnati for a fifth-rounder. It's not a blockbuster. It's not moving the needle in terms of draft capital. But it's the optics that are insane. The Browns trading a quarterback to a division rival mid-season? That almost never happens. And the fact that Flacco could potentially face Cleveland later this year? That's some spicy revenge game potential right there. But let's get back to Cleveland because this is where the real drama is brewing. The Browns are 1-4. They're sinking fast. Deshaun Watson is still on the roster, by the way. Yeah, remember him. He's listed 4th on the depth chart. He's rehabbing his Achilles, getting some work in on the practice field, and he's still owed $1.5 billion fully guaranteed next year. So the question becomes, what is Cleveland's plan here? Are they tanking? Are they just saying, screw it, let's see what we have in these young guys? Because they also have 2 first-round picks next year. Jacksonville's first-rounder is looking better and better for Cleveland as the Jags continue to struggle. So maybe the Browns are playing the long game. Maybe they're thinking, if this season goes south, we'll have prime draft positioning to grab a franchise QB next year. But here's the thing. There's no clear-cut number 1 QB in next year's draft class right now. Nobody's balling out in college football to the point where you're like, yep, that's the guy. So if Cleveland is tanking for a QB, who are they tanking for? Or maybe, just maybe, they actually believe in what they have. Maybe they think Dillon Gabriel can develop. Maybe they think Shedeur Sanders has something special. Maybe they're willing to roll the dice on youth and see what happens. And honestly, I kind of respect it. Because what's the alternative? Keep trotting out Deshaun Watson, who's been hurt, who hasn't looked like himself in years, and who's owed so much money that he's basically unmovable. Keep relying on Joe Flacco, a 40-year-old who's had flashes but clearly isn't the future. At some point, you gotta rip the Band-Aid off. And Cleveland just did. Now, back to Shedeur, because this is where things get really interesting. The kid has been confident from day one. He's been saying he's ready. He's been saying he can play at this level. And people have been doubting him. But you know what? Confidence isn't a bad thing, especially at the quarterback position. You need that swagger. You need that belief in yourself. Because the moment you step on that field, you're getting hit by guys who are faster, stronger, and more experienced than anyone you faced in college. If you don't believe you belong, you're done before you even start. Shedeur believes he belongs. And now, with Flacco gone, with the Browns in full rebuild mode, he might actually get a chance to prove it. Stick around, because what happens next with Shedeur might actually shock you. All right, so let's dig deeper into what this really means. Because on the surface, this looks like chaos. The Browns trading Flacco, the Bengals scrambling, Shedeur waiting in the wings. But underneath all of this, there's actually a method to the madness. Cleveland is making a statement. They're saying, we're not competing this year. We're building for the future. And you know what? That's probably the smartest thing they could do. Because, let's be real, this roster, as currently constructed, isn't winning anything significant. Deshaun Watson is a question mark. The offensive line has been shaky. The defense has been inconsistent. So why keep pretending? By moving Flacco, Cleveland is committing to the youth movement. They're saying, let's see what Dillon Gabriel can do. Let's see if Bailey Zappe still has it. And let's see if Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. And here's where the narrative around Shedeur needs to shift. Because everyone's been killing him for his confidence. But think about this for a second. The kid is a third-string quarterback on a team that just gutted its QB room. He's one injury away from playing. And instead of sitting quietly in the shadows, he's been vocal. He's been preparing. He's been acting like someone who knows his moment is coming. That's not arrogance. That's preparation meeting opportunity. Let's talk about what we've seen from Shedeur in his limited exposure. The preseason reps, the practice reports, the way coaches have talked about him. By all accounts, he's been impressive. His arm talent is undeniable. His football IQ is high. And he's been raised by one of the greatest athletes of all time in Shedeur Sanders, who's been coaching him up since he could walk. People forget that Shedeur has been preparing for this moment his entire life. This isn't some kid who got thrown into the spotlight unprepared. He's been groomed for this, and now that the opportunity is right in front of him, people want to act surprised that he believes in himself. Come on, let's also address the elephant in the room. The Rex Ryan beef. Rex went on TV and absolutely torched Shedeur for his comments, called him out, said he hadn't earned the right to talk, all that. And Shedeur responded by mocking him. Yeah, he literally mimed Rex's rant and posted it on social media, and you know what? The internet exploded. Some people loved it. Some people said he was immature. But here's what nobody's talking about. Shedeur just showed he's not afraid of the moment. He's not backing down. He's not playing it safe. He's embracing the spotlight. That's quarterback mentality. Now let's get real about the Browns' depth chart situation. Right now, it's Dillon Gabriel at QB1, and then it gets murky. Is it Bailey Zappi at QB2? Is it Shedeur? Because the official depth chart might say one thing, but we all know that can change in a heartbeat. One bad game from Gabriel, one injury, one moment of doubt from the coaching staff, and suddenly Shedeur Sanders is warming up on the sidelines. And if that happens, the entire NFL is going to be watching. Because here's the thing, Shedeur Sanders playing in an NFL game would be a massive story. It would dominate headlines. It would trend on social media. It would be must-watch TV. Love him or hate him, people are going to tune in to see if he can back up all that talk. And honestly, I think he can. Look, I get it. There's a lot of skepticism around Shedeur. People think he's all hype. People think he's riding his dad's coattails. People think he's not ready. But here's what those people are missing. The kid can play. His tape speaks for itself. His production speaks for itself. And his confidence? That's not a weakness. That's a strength. You need confidence at the quarterback position. You need to believe you're the best player on the field every single time you step out there. Because if you don't believe it, how are your teammates supposed to believe it? Shedeur believes. And that's why, despite all the noise, despite all the criticism, despite being third on the depth chart, he might actually be the most interesting storyline in Cleveland right now. Let's talk about the bigger picture for a second. The NFL is in a weird place with quarterbacks right now. We've got aging veterans clinging to their careers, we've got overpaid QBs underperforming, and we've got teams desperately searching for their franchise guy. Cleveland is in that third category. They've tried with Baker Mayfield. They've tried with Deshaun Watson. They've tried with journeymen and retreads and everything in between. Nothing has worked. So maybe, just maybe, the answer is sitting on their bench right now. Maybe it's the kid who everyone doubted. The kid who's been confident enough to say he's ready. The kid who's been waiting for his shot. And if Cleveland gives him that shot, I genuinely think we could be in for something special. Because here's what I know about Shedeur Sanders. He's not afraid of the moment. He's not going to shrink under pressure. He's been preparing for this his entire life, and when his number gets called, and it will get called eventually, he's going to be ready. The Browns just cleared the path. They shipped out Flacco. They're committed to youth. They're building for the future. And whether they realize it or not, they just gave Shedeur Sanders the opening he's been waiting for. So here's my question for you. When Shedeur finally gets his chance, are you going to be watching? Or are you going to be one of those people who missed it because you were too busy doubting him? Because mark my words, this kid is going to play. Maybe it's next week, maybe it's next month, maybe it's next year, but it's coming. And when it does, We're all going to be talking about the moment Shedeur Sanders proved everyone wrong. Look, the Joe Flacco trade is wild. The Browns' QB situation is absolute chaos. The Bengals are scrambling, but underneath all of that noise, there's a story brewing that nobody's paying enough attention to. And that story is Shedeur Sanders. He's been confident. He's been vocal. He's been preparing. And now, the opportunity is right there in front of him. Cleveland just opened the door. And when that door opens a little wider, when Dylan Gabriel struggles or gets hurt, when Bailey Zapp shows he's not the answer, Shedeur is going to walk through it. And I, for one, can't wait to see what happens next. So, what do you think? Is Shedeur Sanders ready for the NFL? Or is he all talk? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because this story is just getting started. Let's see if Shedeur can turn all that confidence into production when his number finally gets called.